The Unity Space Zone was the heart of the galaxy's government. It was a massive station floating in deep space. Ships from every known world arrived here every day. Tall glass towers stretched into the stars. Bright lights glowed from every corner. Thousands of alien races lived and worked here. It was the place where leaders decided the future of the galaxy. William Carter stood on a high platform, looking out at the council hall. He took a deep breath. This was the moment he had waited for. He was the official envoy from Earth, now called the Human Alliance. His job was to present Earth's new ideas to the most powerful leaders in the galaxy. He had traveled for months to get here. He had practiced his speech over and over. Now it was time to begin. The council hall was huge. Hundreds of leaders sat in a great circle. Some had skin like stone. Some had glowing eyes. Others floated instead of walking. All of them looked down on William as if he was too small to matter. A large voice echoed through the hall. It was the voice of High Regent Varric, leader of the Zalari Union. He was tall, with sharp eyes and silver skin. He ruled one of the strongest powers in the galaxy. Envoy Carter of Earth, Varric said, "You may begin." William nodded. He stepped forward. His voice was steady but loud enough to fill the hall. "Honored leaders," William began, "I stand before you not as a ruler, but as a messenger. I bring ideas from Earth, ideas that can help us all." The hall stayed silent. William continued. "For centuries, Earth struggled. We fought wars. We wasted energy. We lived in fear. But we changed. We opened our knowledge to all. We made our energy free for everyone. We created systems that share power, not control it." He paused, looking around the room. "We now offer these systems to you. Open source technology, free energy sharing, AI that helps, not rules. These are not weapons. These are tools for peace." At first, no one spoke. Then, a loud laugh echoed across the hall. It was Varric. "Peace? Open systems," Varric said with a grin. "You speak as if the galaxy is a village, human. Do you think freedom makes us stronger? You are young. You do not understand power." The hall filled with quiet whispers. Some leaders smiled. Others shook their heads. Varric stood up. "Your ideas sound nice," Varric said, "but they are dangerous. Sharing knowledge weakens control. Giving energy freely weakens loyalty. You bring chaos, not peace." William felt his hands tighten into fists. He took a deep breath to stay calm. "I understand your fear," William said, "but fear should not stop progress. We do not ask you to trust us today. We ask you to test our systems. Let the results speak for themselves." Varric laughed again. "We have no need for your Earth toys," he said. "Return to your little world. Let the real powers rule the stars." The council began to rise from their seats. The meeting was over. William stood alone on the platform. His face burned with anger, but he stayed still. He knew the truth. He knew they needed what Earth had to offer. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon. As the hall emptied, William turned and walked toward the exit. He did not speak another word. He had planted the seed. Now he had to wait for it to grow. William Carter spent the next few days walking through the Unity Space Zone. The station was alive with movement. Ships arrived and departed. Merchants sold goods from every corner of the galaxy. Engineers worked on machines that William could hardly understand. But William felt like a ghost. No one greeted him. No one asked about Earth's offer. Most didn't even look at him. Word had already spread. Earth had been laughed out of the council. William had failed in the eyes of many. Still, he stayed. He spent his days watching the giant news screens. He listened to the voices of leaders giving speeches. All of them promised that the galaxy was strong. They promised that their systems were perfect. They promised that nothing would go wrong. But William noticed something strange. The station's lights flickered more than usual. Small repair drones moved quickly through the halls, fixing power lines again and again. Cargo ships arrived late, their engines slowing down mid-flight. At first, William thought it was nothing. Every system had small problems. But as the days passed, the problems grew worse. The news screen started showing short, strange warnings. Energy shortages reported in Kraith space. Communication blackouts in Zalari transport zones. Ship failures causing delays across 5 sectors. The reports came fast, then disappeared even faster. Leaders told the people not to worry. They said the problems were under control. But William knew they were hiding something. He decided to check the shipyards. That was where the real work happened. When he reached the lower levels, he saw crews working day and night. Alien engineers shouted over each other. Sparks flew from broken machines. Old power cores were being torn out and replaced. The workers looked stressed. Some argued. Others moved in silence, their faces tight with fear. William moved closer, keeping to the shadows. He heard words that confirmed his fear. "These systems are failing faster than we can fix them," one engineer whispered. "The energy cores are unstable," another replied. "We need new designs, but the council won't let us change anything." "We can't hide this much longer," a third said. William felt his heart race. He knew exactly what they needed. Earth's systems could fix these failures. Earth had already solved these problems years ago, but no one in power wanted to admit it. He wondered if Varric knew how bad things had become. He was sure Varric knew. A leader like Varric would never show weakness in public, but he would do anything to hold on to control behind closed doors. William left the shipyards and walked toward the observation deck. He stood alone again, looking out into the stars. He could not force them to accept Earth's help, but he knew they would come looking for it soon because they had no other choice. The galaxy was breaking piece by piece, and the council was too proud to admit it. For the next week, the council stayed silent. No messages came from their chambers. No new meetings were called. William knew what that meant. They were hiding. They didn't want the public to know how bad the crisis had become. They didn't want anyone, especially Earth, to see their weakness. But William kept watching. He kept listening. He moved quietly through the station, staying close to the work zones. He paid attention to every word, every whisper. One night, while walking near the lower data towers, William noticed something strange. A group of figures moved through a restricted zone. They wore dark cloaks, hiding their faces. They walked with purpose, looking around to make sure no one was watching. William followed them from a distance. He stayed in the shadows, careful not to make a sound. The figures entered a secure data vault. William knew that vault. It was where Earth's open-source files had been stored after his presentation. The vault had a special mark, Earth's symbol of peace, a simple blue circle. The council had refused to look at those files, or so they had claimed. William watched as the cloaked figures hacked into the vault. The doors slid open. They went inside, taking data modules and copying files. William's chest tightened. It was exactly what he had feared. The council had called Earth's ideas dangerous. They had mocked him, but now they were stealing those very ideas in secret. He could have stopped them. He could have sounded the alarm. He could have exposed them to the galaxy. But he didn't. William stood in the shadows, thinking hard. He knew the truth. If he called them out, they would deny it. They would cover it up. Worse, they might turn the galaxy against Earth for daring to challenge their pride. No, William thought. That won't work. He knew that change didn't always come with loud fights. Sometimes, the best way to win was to let your enemy take the first step, even if they try to keep it hidden. William watched as the cloaked figures finished their work. They left the vault, carrying the stolen data with them. William turned and walked away, his mind racing. If they were stealing Earth's systems now, it meant only one thing. They were desperate. Their old systems were breaking faster than they could fix them. William knew this was just the beginning. The real test would come next. Would they use Earth's ideas? Would they admit they needed help? Or would they continue their game of control, risking everything? William didn't have the answers yet, but he knew one thing for sure. The council had already crossed the line, and there was no turning back. The Unity Space Zone was quieter than usual. The crowds had thinned. Ships were leaving slower. Markets seemed smaller. Even the news screens had fewer updates. It felt like the station was holding its breath. William Carter stayed alert. He knew something was happening behind the scenes. He had seen the cloaked figures steal Earth's technology. Now, he waited to see what they would do with it. For several days, nothing changed on the surface. But deep inside the station, hidden from public view, the council had already started testing Earth systems. It began in the lower research sectors, where very few people were allowed. There, teams of scientists and engineers worked in secret. They were ordered to keep quiet. No reports were shared with the public. High Regent Varric himself had given the order. Test the human systems, Varric told his top engineers. If they work, we use them. If they fail, we destroy every record. The engineers didn't argue. They obeyed, like they always did. First, they tested Earth's open-source energy systems. These systems used small, clean energy cells that could power entire ships and stations without burning resources. They were designed to share energy between ships, planets, and stations without limits. The results were better than anyone expected. The failing power grids came back online. Engines that had stopped working started running again. Energy flowed faster and cleaner than before. The engineers were shocked. The systems worked perfectly. Next, they tested Earth's AI helpers. These AI systems were open and fully transparent. Anyone could see how they worked. They didn't control people. They worked beside them. They made choices that helped, not harmed. The engineers connected the AI to small test stations. The AI fixed broken systems in minutes. It helped workers plan faster routes through space. It even warned about small failures before they happened. Again, the results were clear. Earth's systems were far better than the galaxy's old, closed systems. Word of the success started to spread among the engineers. Quiet talks filled the hidden labs. Some were amazed. Others were scared. They knew the truth now. Earth's technology could save the galaxy, but the Council had lied to everyone about it. William knew he couldn't stay hidden forever. He needed to see it for himself. One night, he found a trusted contact, an old engineer named Draylen. Draylen had once worked with Earth during early trade talks. William trusted him. "Tell me the truth," William said when they met in a quiet corner of the shipyard. "Are they testing our systems?" Draylen looked around to make sure no one was watching. He leaned closer. "They are," Draylen whispered. "And they work, William. They work better than anything we've ever seen." William felt both relief and anger. He had been right all along. But the Council was still hiding the truth, still holding on to control, still pretending Earth was wrong. "What will they do now?" William asked. Draylen shook his head. "Varric will never give you credit. He will never admit Earth was right. He will take your systems, claim them as his own, and keep the people blind." William's jaw tightened. He knew Draylen was right, but he also knew something else. The Council could only hide the truth for so long. Sooner or later, someone would notice. Someone would ask questions. Someone would push for change. William's time was coming. He just had to wait for the right moment. He looked out at the stars, knowing the real fight was just ahead. The Council chambers remained silent. There were no public meetings, no official statements, only quiet whispers and guarded looks. But William Carter knew they could not avoid him forever. The engineers had finished their tests. The stolen systems had worked. Earth's ideas were saving the Unity Space Zone from breaking apart. Yet, no one had spoken his name. No one had given Earth credit. The Council continued to act like nothing had changed, until the message came. It was short, simple, only a time and a place. The message came from High Regent Varric's private channel. William knew this was the moment he had been waiting for. That night, William walked through the dark halls of the Council Tower. Two silent guards led him to a private meeting room. The room was cold, with sharp metal walls and a single round table in the center. Varric was already there, standing with his back to William, staring out a large window into space. Without turning, Varric spoke. "You've been watching us," Varric said. His voice was low but steady. "Yes," William answered. "I saw your teams take our systems. I know you've been using them." Varric turned slowly to face him. His silver skin seemed to shine in the dim light. His sharp eyes watched William closely. "They work," Varric admitted. "Your systems fixed our failures. Your technology saved us from collapse." William felt a small spark of hope, but he knew better than to celebrate yet. He waited for Varric to continue. "But you'll get no credit," Varric said coldly. "The Council will never tell the galaxy these ideas came from Earth." William took a step forward. His voice stayed calm, but firm. "You called our ideas dangerous," he said. "You mocked us. Now you use them in secret. How long do you think you can keep hiding the truth?" Varric's face stayed cold. "As long as it takes," he replied. We cannot allow Earth to rise. If we give you credit, the balance of power will shift. The Council will lose control. The galaxy will turn to Earth. We cannot let that happen. William felt anger rising in his chest, but he knew he had to choose his next words carefully. You may control the Council, William said, but you can't control the future. Sooner or later, the truth will come out. Varric leaned closer, lowering his voice to a threatening tone. If you speak of this to anyone, Varric warned, we will turn every power in the galaxy against you. Earth will be seen as a traitor. You will bring war to your people. William's hands curled into fists. He knew Varric could do it. The Council still held great influence. If they painted Earth as a threat, many would believe them. Peace would shatter. Varric straightened, watching William's face closely. So, you have a choice, Varric said. Stay silent, and let us use your systems, or speak out and bring ruin to your world. William stood still for a long moment. His mind raced. He thought of Earth. He thought of his people. He thought of the quiet hope that had grown in him from the start. At last he spoke. I will stay silent, William said quietly. But you will not stop what has already begun. Varric showed no reaction. He gave a small nod, then turned back to the window. The meeting was over. William left the room without looking back. He knew the Council thought they had won, but he also knew the truth. Earth's systems were already in place. They were spreading through the galaxy, fixing what no one else could. Leaders could lie. They could hide. But the change had already started, and it was too late to stop it now. William Carter left the Council Tower without saying a word to anyone. He walked slowly through the wide halls of the Unity Space Zone. Everything looked the same on the surface. Ships still moved in and out. Markets still buzzed with quiet trade. Council guards still stood at their posts. But William could feel the difference. Something had shifted. The air felt heavier, like the station itself knew what had happened in that private room. He had made his choice. He had agreed to stay silent. Part of him felt angry. He had come here to help the galaxy. He had come with open hands, offering peace and progress. And what had they done? They had mocked him. They had stolen Earth's work. They had silenced him with a threat. But as he walked through the shipyards again, something caught his eye. A small group of engineers were gathered around a power core. They were using Earth's open energy system. William recognized the blue lines glowing on the device. They worked quickly, smiling as the core came to life. The energy flowed smoothly. There were no sparks, no failures. William moved to another section. He saw a cargo pilot talking to an AI assistant. The AI had Earth's open design. It was helping the pilot map a safe route through a dangerous sector. The pilot nodded, trusting the AI without fear. He kept walking. The more he looked, the more he saw. Earth's systems were already being used everywhere, quietly but surely. No one spoke Earth's name. No one gave public credit. But William didn't need to hear it. He could see the truth with his own eyes. In the lower markets, small merchants had started selling devices based on Earth's designs. Farmers from distant worlds used Earth's energy cells to power their fields. Freighters installed open AI helpers to guide their ships. The Council could hide behind closed doors, but the people had already begun to change. William stood on the observation deck again, looking out at the stars. This time, he felt something different. He felt peace. He had not won with loud speeches or big battles. He had won quietly. He had planted the seeds, and now they were growing across the galaxy. The leaders could take the credit. They could lie, but they could not stop what had already started. Earth had already won, not through force, not through fear, but through quiet influence that was reaching farther than anyone had expected. William smiled for the first time in days. He knew the journey was not over. The galaxy still had a long way to go, but the hardest part was done. The door was open, and no one could close it now. He turned away from the stars and walked back to his ship. It was time to go home. William Carter stood on the loading ramp of his ship, the Horizon, as workers prepared it for departure. His time on the Unity Space Zone was finally over. He had spent weeks walking those cold halls, fighting to be heard, and watching the Council steal Earth's ideas. Now, the Council believed they had won. They thought they had silenced Earth. They thought they had kept their power. But William knew better. He had seen the truth with his own eyes. Earth's systems were spreading, quietly, steadily. The people of the galaxy had started to use them. Farmers, traders, pilots, and engineers. Not because the Council told them to. Not because they had no other choice. But because Earth's systems worked. They made life easier. They made ships safer. They gave small worlds the same tools that only the rich and powerful once controlled. The change had already begun. The Council could not stop it now, no matter how hard they tried to hide it. As a ship prepared to leave, William received a message on his personal communicator. It was from Draylen, the engineer who had warned him about the secret tests. The message was short, but it made William smile. They're using Earth's systems in 5 more sectors. No one is saying it out loud yet, but they know where the ideas came from. Some have even started calling them Carter grids. The people are waking up. Thank you, William. William leaned back in his chair, reading the message again. He closed his eyes for a moment, feeling a quiet pride rise in his chest. He hadn't needed fame. He hadn't needed a public victory. The real victory was in every small ship flying safely, in every small world with steady energy, in every person finding new hope. The ship's engines hummed as the crew finished their checks. The pilot called out over the speakers. Ship is ready for departure, Envoy Carter. Setting course for Earth. William stood and walked to the front of the ship. He looked out the wide window one last time as the Unity space zone grew smaller in the distance. He felt no anger toward Varric or the Council anymore. They had played their part, but they had already lost. The future belonged to those who dared to share knowledge, to those who believed in progress, not control, to those who gave, not took. And Earth had done just that. William placed his hand on the glass, watching the stars pass by. He knew his mission was complete. The seeds of change had been planted. The galaxy had already started to grow something new. He whispered softly to himself, "We did it." He turned away from the window, ready for the journey home, ready for the next chapter, whatever it might be.